Just talking? Well, what's the show about? About nothing.
Speaking of interesting places, Dave Chappelle has been in an interesting spot lately.
Yes, he has.
So Dave Chappelle recently, what was it, about a month ago, maybe now?
Yeah, I want to say a month ago
Think
now.
so.
Released his special, The Closer. Was met with both applause and jeers, mainly from
Everybody else,
yeah.
majority.
Majority of people, it seemed like it was received pretty well.
Yeah,
There was obviously a small group of people, the trans community, or at least seems like some of the trans community.
yeah.
At
It's
least
kind of like it's probably like a portion of the LGBTQ
TQ plus.
plus. There you go.
Do you
Community.
do you put the IA then the plus? Because then it's
There's an IA?
LGBTQ, yeah, LGBTQIA plus.
I
I
have no
think that's
idea.
the whole.
You think because they're letters and there's no significant like marriage of these letters to one another that we can't be clever enough to fucking just think of another phrase to cover that,
Oh
you know?
yeah.
Or is there going to be a battle between each one that's like, no, I don't fall into that umbrella. So back to the fucking letters only, you know?
Well, I've heard of a dialogue that that the groups can be so diverse in the whole LGBTQIA plus community
Yeah.
that some areas don't agree with the other
Yeah,
areas.
for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's
So-
has to like, yeah, absolutely.
You're lumping so many different people into this one giant umbrella
Right.
that may not like
Agree on
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, which is just everybody.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
just gonna happen.
This is just sounds like a normal.
I think Dave Chappelle said it best. He did. It's like they're all in the car, but nobody likes each other.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, what'd you guys think of the closer?
Freaking great.
I loved it.
I loved it.
I was laughing the entire way.
Yep.
Yep. Me too.
I will say, obviously it's not like I don't think it's the grandiose
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Dave
yeah.
Chappelle's work.
It was good. The content was good, but there were some stuff that just kind of fell like whatever.
Yeah, but I think what I kind of thought, or kind of maybe I rationalized it in my head, was that Dave Chappelle is a different comedian now than he was when he like did his old like Comedy Central specials.
Yeah. Even like the recent Stringer ones, you can see the difference.
Yeah, like he's kind of progressing into like this storyteller type, with basically he's taking you along like maybe an intellectual journey
Yeah.
while dropping in some, great, jokes
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah.
It seems
Right.
like.
No, for sure.
But dude, yeah, overall, like I was laughing. I mean, like he said, some people say he's the GOAT.
Yep.
Some people say he's the goat. That's pretty funny. You did say that. It was I think it was a great example of someone just exercising their right to be a comedian.
Yeah.
I don't even want to like pick
To
it
think
apart
and talk.
and
That's
say
it.
more.
Yeah.
It's literally just I think comedy is that, it always has been that outlet. It is it's very aggressive or abrasive to certain people, and to other people it's very funny and it's, accepted. And that is what comedy is. It's not always something that's just loved by everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's comedy in general,
I think
You
it's
got people that like slapstick, you got people that love, like a social commentary,
Mhm.
and you've got people that just love goofy. There's so many different types, and you'll find a lot of people like comedians that don't like those other styles of comedy, or just people that don't
Yeah.
like them in general, and that's just
I think it's
right to like it or not.
always been comedy's job to push the boundaries.
Yeah,
Yep.
To be,
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's how like one I enjoy comedy that kind of like pushes those things where like I know I'm laughing and then at the same time I'm having the thought like, should I be laughing at this?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I love that feeling. I mean, that's just the comedy I enjoy. But yeah, I think it's always been part of comedy's job to like push the boundaries of, oh, you think this is funny? Let's go a little bit further. Are you
Yeah.
gonna think this is funny?
Yeah.
Are you gonna think this is funny?
Right.
So
I personally love just playing with words. It's one of those things that's always been fascinating to me because they're just words. And I get it. Words can hurt somewhere, you know. And I've experienced stuff too, you know, growing up,
Yeah.
and just certain times in my life, you know, I may have been made fun of for my weight, or I may have been made fun of for being brown or something, you know,
Yeah.
something like somebody might have thought was my shortcoming. They called me out on it, but I didn't cave in. I didn't die. I didn't fucking, you know, hold people hostage. I didn't, you know, even say that they were wrong, you know.
Yeah.
I think it allowed me to realize that they're just words, and you will live to fucking see another day.
Yeah.
And
And you can say them back.
You can say them back. It's one of those things that your parents tell
Yeah.
you too, you know, hey, if they call you this, make sure you fucking tell them something
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
You don't have to do anything like a crazy jab. It doesn't be racist or nothing like
Yeah.
that, but jab them back. If they call you
Yeah.
stupid,
Yeah.
call them dumb, you know, or
Yeah.
something, you know.
Yeah.
And
Be,
it's
be clever with your, your comeback. You know?
absolutely. And then being, you know, the wittier the better, man.
Yeah.
And with that, you know, graduating even further, you know, you just, especially amongst friends, you try to say like the worst shit possible, you
Yeah.
know. And it's not the idea that this is all real. It's the idea that it's all fake, you know. And
I think that's part of the
that's
thing.
what makes it fun.
I think that's part of the thing that some people miss sometimes with our comedy or humor is like the absurdity sometimes is why it's funny.
Yeah.
Like another topic I was gonna bring up. There's Tony Romo, the former Cowboys quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
recently got in some hot water because one of the last games he was doing the sportscasting for was Tom won the Buccaneers game, and Tom Brady threw his 600th touchdown. So the receiver that caught that ball ended up giving it away into the
I
stands.
heard about this.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got gifted a lot of stuff.
yeah. So, but Tony Romo got some backlash because over the announcement, like he was kind of doing this, just like making fun commentary of the exchange between the Buccaneers assistant and the fan. Like he was just kind of making, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, oh, so what are you gonna take so I can get the ball back? He's like, oh, a date with Giselle? Yeah, okay, tell him we'll do that. Tell him we'll do that. And then so
Okay.
you're just making fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then people like berated Tony Romo, saying like, "Oh, how
Really?
dare you? Like, you think Giselle is Tom Brady's property, so that way he can use it. He can use her as bartering for just
God,
football."
yo, dude,
Wow.
people are.
And I was like, "That's the thing. Like, the reason why it was a joke because it's so absurd. Like, nobody would barter their wife for a football.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of why it's funny because it's so
Absolutely.
absurd."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think people miss that a lot of the times. And like, I think in Dave Chappelle's special, I think what a lot of people maybe, I think they're missing maybe the point of what he's saying. Like, cause I think what he ends up saying at the end, right? Like, he's like, oh, my issue was never with the trans community. It's basically with white people. You know, he's making it, and which you can go on a whole nother rant on, but I mean, and I think they're like, I don't think he's coming from a place necessarily of like malice or hate or anything like that.
Right.
He's basically making fun of the absurdity of the reaction. Like they're almost reacting in the way he said they would,
Yeah.
and how absurd some of this stuff
Yeah.
is.
Yep. I think with to like his point, you know, making the statement about like this is it too. He's gonna end it. He's not gonna speak about it anymore.
Mhm.
And he made one, like he added a thought and he said, until you're laughing with me.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope we can get to as well, because this is the conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it is just humor, you know, it doesn't have to humor you, but I am not trying to offend you by saying
Yep.
these
Yeah.
things. You know,
Mhm.
these are my real life interactions and my, you know, my thoughts. And we're absolutely, you know,
And he just knows how to tell it in a funny way.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's it, man.
his job. You know, it was like cool, like how he started out the special by saying that they were punching down on him,
Yeah.
and by the end of the special, an hour
Or that
later,
he was punching
he
down.
was punching down on them, and by the end of it, he was just saying, "Stop punching down on me or on
my people.
oh yeah,
which-
on my people."
Yeah.
And it was cool. Like that's why I like Dave Chappelle, because he'll say something. That's why I always pay attention when he talks, just because he'll say something in the beginning of the special, and that's like the main idea of it,
Yeah.
and he just runs through it and then gets back to the point. You know?
Yep. Absolutely. He always circles back really, really good, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did get a like I went to go see like different points of view, and I saw a trans woman gave her basically take on the whole special, and she said that she found it funny, and but she can see where people are finding their offense. One is the phrase when he says like, "Oh, I'm Team Turf,"
Yeah.
because that's what is it? Turf is
I forgot.
trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the reason why they're mad with that terminology is because like turfs or the people who can be sometimes very radical
Mhm.
and kind of commit hate crimes against the trans community.
Okay.
So I don't think he actually meant to say that he's like with the turfs.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to say like I agree with what J.K. Rowling is saying.
Yeah.
And they're calling her a turf. So if you're calling her a turf, then you're calling me a turf.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he was kind of saying.
Yeah. I think he did say like gender is a fact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. This could be a whole different topic, but I would fall on the more that I think what people mean to say is that sex is a fact, but gender can be fluid. I think that's when people. At least that's what I think.
Yeah.
But I don't. I wonder if that's what maybe he meant to say, or because
Or you maybe just was like throwing it in there because he knew to fucking.
Yeah, I'm gonna push some buttons.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of like the way he says that he's transphobic also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does call himself transphobic. Dave
Yeah.
Chappelle, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, that's an interesting thing too. I think that it's like one of those, if in fact it is like his reality and he is, completely transphobic, I think when he does say it, he's using it as like a tool, and it's like it's sort of the way that I think. Here's what I think, and let me fucking hear your thoughts on this too.
It's a safe space.
Yeah, it's a safe place. Okay,
In
we're
here.
gonna fucking
maybe not out there, but
Yeah, I'm not behind the
stop
screen.
right now. No, so when he says he's transphobic, what I feel he means is it's one of those things that he's incapable right now of maybe changing that thought. He's willing and open to maybe changing, to growing, but it is who he is. He feels a certain way because of whatever reason. He's not saying that it's wrong or anything of those nature. It's not a right or wrong conversation. It's just a phobia. That's what I was thinking. He was trying to just trying to put out there. It's a phobia. It has nothing to do with you being trans. It has to do with me just being afraid of it. I think that that's what he was saying so that he can kind of get the idea out like, oh, you're born gay. So why can't I be just born transphobic? Not that I won't change, because these are not his words, mind you. Like I'm just.
This is all opinion.
I'm kind of absolutely just kind of like picking it apart and trying to like think about it in a different way. But especially for comedy, I'm thinking that that's part of his defense, because we spoke earlier. We're saying that he's so strategic with his words.
Yeah.
And those are like laying a foundation for like, hey, if you feel a certain way in your head, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. Just like you shouldn't tell me that I'm wrong. Just the reason, or just not the reason, but the way he threw in the race thing too. He said, can gay people be racist? And people were like, yeah, absolutely, and that's part of that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like there is no perfect breed. Just because you're championing a movement and it's a great movement, it doesn't mean that you're a perfect person, or without faults or without hate in your core,
Yeah.
Because you're part of this minority group doesn't mean you're excluded or you're above being, hateful or mean in another aspect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think he's just being strategic about saying those things. So it's letting them know how he does feel, but it's nothing against you. And there is no malice and no hate and no additional things that normal people would think that there are,
That could be a good point, because the trans woman that gave her opinion on the whole special, basically that's kind of what her end point was, that she sees where Dave is at right now with how he views the trans community can offend somebody, but what she sees him doing is he's in a what do you call it, in progress.
Yeah.
He's learning and he's actively changing his mind, and he's basically just kind of giving his thoughts and ideas on a grand stage. Basically, she was saying that like if Dave was a normal person, going through like thinking through these things, learning how society would be like, oh, and then came out this, this this changed person or on the other side, because what the community wants is the end result of that person. They don't want to see the progress of the person coming to terms with whatever they're coming to terms with, kind of like what you might have been saying. And that's what she was saying was like, because Dave's is such on a pedestal, we see a person in progress, and most people can't deal with that. And most people can't have the grace to be like, oh, okay, I see that you're making progress. You're not at the point maybe where I want you to be yet, but I can appreciate that you're in progress. And that's what that's what the trans woman was saying. And she's like, well, I may disagree with some of the things he said. She's like, I can appreciate that he's a person in progress, willing to hear the words of other people.
Yeah.
And if he feels like he needs to, will change his mind. And I was like, oh, that's a very thoughtful approach, especially from somebody of that community. I was like, oh,
that is a good thought. Yeah, it's nice.
I was like, oh, I think I like this.
I think that's what we all need. We just need a little bit of that, a little bit of that compassion, empathy, your willingness to put yourself in their position and realize that we are all completely on different wavelengths, and some are further in their wokeness, or whatever you want to call your own personal ascension. You're ascending into a better human. But I feel like that's like the common thread in my thoughts. It's always like, I never know what anybody's going through personally, or where they're at in their walk of life in general, so it's one of those things where I don't even want someone to ever judge me either. So I don't judge them, I don't judge where they are. I don't judge like where your thoughts are. If you say something stupid, I'm not going to call you on it unless it sounds really stupid. Then I'll definitely call you on it. But unless you said it stupidly, then I might call you on it. But if you said something stupid, I'm probably not going to call you on it. But
I might.
Just for a laugh.
And see, and these are the way that I deal, and you probably do too. It's like a defense mechanism. You try to joke to kind of like put your guard up, and that's because we don't know how to deal with these things, and we're human.
We're trying to create a buffer,
and that's it. And these are so new. All these things are so like, I mean, it's funny because technology started like pushing information, and then it just fucking pushed. And it's like, do you really believe that every single person that knows about all this has finally like gone through it, processed all the information, and now they're like, oh yeah, no, gays and gays, lesbians, the LGBT, that's absolutely fine. I was a person that never believed in it, but I do now. Like, that's impossible. People process things so differently.
Everybody has rationally thought through every position where they should stand on something.
And it's so new. And somebody said it earlier, like, there's so many different facets to all these communities in themselves. There's even deeper branches in these communities where they're like, I'm not even part of that community. You might have thought I was lesbian, but guess what? I identify as this.
Yeah.
Now that's new information for me to process, And since I said in the beginning, I'm such an idiot, and a stupid human being, that it does take, a moment to process information and to get on that wavelength, And we have to remember that we're all living here together, and to be harmonious is to be patient and have empathy with one another. And that's it.
We have slow processors. The what's his name? The guy from Mike and Molly.
Mike and Molly.
I don't know if you ever watched Mike and Molly.
No.
The big dude. Well, he has a comedy special, and he has a great bit where he's talking about like people being so impatient with things. Like I can think he was saying like his son was messing with his phone, and he's like, God, and they get mad at it because it wouldn't do whatever he wanted to do. And he had this bit where he's like, just give it a minute, give it a minute. And I'm like, oh, that's what we need to do with people. It's like when they're not responding the way we want right away, just give them a minute.
Just give them a minute. I believe that. That's true. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because some people are quicker to change their mind than others.
Yeah.
Some people, there's just like this ingrained, tradition or thought, and they just don't want to give it up, or don't give it the time to bake.
Think about this. Think about the person that possibly was exposed to something amazing, like becoming who you really are. Let's say you were in the closet about whatever your sexual preference was or gender, and you finally were exposed to something that made you feel like, oh man, this is who I am. I am a gay man, and this is how I feel now. But then let's say you learned even further, and then you're like, well, you know what? No, I'm not that. I actually realize now that I identify completely different, and then I shoot off into this other branch. That's just learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if that compassion can be understood there, it should be understood everywhere.
Yeah.
If a person can do that, then someone else learning about it on the outside who's not experiencing that first fucking hand, mind you, you got to give everyone a moment. There's no sense in just being like, turn or burn. Back to that comment.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of callbacks here today.
Yeah.
Then that's the title of the episode. Callback.
I think for me, it was always just a issue of like basic human rights. For me, I was like, do whatever you want. Fuck it. I don't care.
Absolutely. And I that's one of the things that I realized, like, too, it's like, if you want to have your rights completely free and freedom, to give everyone else their rights too,
People can do whatever the fuck they want.
Do what the fuck you want. I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck. I love saying that too. Like, do what the fuck you want. I'm telling my wife, like, do what the fuck you want. I don't give a fuck.
It takes the responsibility off me. Do whatever the fuck you want.
That's literally it. Like, I know that, and it's like, okay, cool. I want to do what the fuck I want. Do what the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Please. Like,
I mean,
do it.
the deeper thought is just accepting people for who they are and for whatever they, got going on at the moment, or the person they're becoming. Just let them be who they want to be, and you can either be supportive or just pull yourself out from the conversation, but just don't force your ideas and your ideals on people. You know?
I think that's a good thought. Like, don't force it, because I there's a good irony with it. Like, I don't know if you guys seen the protests that were outside of Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There were some anti-protesters that went up there that were saying like, I stand with Dave or something like that.
Yeah, like jokes are funny.
Yeah,
jokes are jokes.
Yeah, and they immediately shut him down.
Dude,
like,
you see what they did?
Took his sign.
They broke it.
You
saw they broke it to him and gave him to him. Said he's got a weapon.
Yeah.
It's like, dude.
And
it's fucked up.
They are doing what they're talking about.
Yeah,
like that's what pisses me off.
What they're protesting
that's
about.
Like next level fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think, to go back to the compassion, I don't think they actually see it. Like, kind of like those like we were talking about the Turner Burn people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't agree with their message, but I don't even think they see what.
I don't think so either. Dude.
They're like
they
are pretty much the modern Turner Burn.
Yeah, and they're just so blinded, and there's just a veil that's just so thick, and they can't see past it.
Yeah.
It's this is it, and I know what it is, and it's like, okay, well, if you're trying to get your message out, you're getting it out all wrong.
Yeah.
First things first, man. Like, fucking, what's that saying about you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
I'll go with that.
I've never heard that one. But...
Something like that.
Oh, catch more bees with honey? Maybe? What?
I don't even know.
It's one of those. It's basically saying
Give
you
us a
gotta be
minute.
sweet rather than be sour,
Exactly, yeah.
If you're fucking sweet with your message, you're gonna appeal to more people than you would if you're being an asshole.
No one wants to listen to an asshole.
Never, man.
No.
I don't care what you're trying to fucking teach
Sell
me.
on, yeah.
I won't be receptive.
Yeah, I think current generation just so like very instant gratification that like they're just like, I'm gonna force the message sometimes.
But
I imagine that's not the entirety.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing we have to think about too. Like, this isn't the entirety. Like, whatever group you're talking about isn't the entire group.
I think right now they're just making the most noise.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like when you think about Dave Chappelle's special, majority of people liked it.
Yeah.
It's just that this one.
Except that one lady. Did you see the one lady in the crowd?
Yes, dude. Some people might call her a Karen. I seen her.
Yeah.
The entire I was watching her the entire time.
That
I was like,
funny, yeah.
And I thought, why did she buy a ticket?
Yeah.
She's
Why'd
on
you
the
waste your
fucking
money?
special.
check out full episodes of the Strange Noise podcast on Spotify. Episodes also available on your favorite podcast platform.